You already know divorce is expensive, but what if I told you that the real cost isn't just in dollars? The hidden opportunity costs of divorce could be stealing your future in ways you never imagined. Stick around and I will reveal what no one else is going to tell you. We're going live. We'll do it live.
This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Edging that algorithm a little bit. You know, I've got a professional podcaster over here that I've got to wrangle, and she's kind of stubborn in her old age. You know what I mean? This coffee tastes better in one of these mugs, guys. We are live this morning, guys. This is really live. We are for realsies live this morning. If you're new to the channel, my name is Paul Bauer, and I help men level up and get better with women. And the funny thing about leveling up and getting better with women is that when we do, it tends to make us better men in all areas of our lives. Now, last week, I went over all of the financial costs you probably didn't expect in divorce if you let your relationship go down that road. But today we're going to be going over the opportunity costs that you probably didn't expect in divorce if you are doing nothing. If you are like, what happens, right? A lot of these are costs that you probably never even thought of before. Okay, now divorce isn't just an emotional and financial poop storm. All right, there's other hidden costs that nobody thinks about, and if you have noticed that your relationship is slipping and you're waiting for it to fix yourself, you just think it's normal, or you're just waiting to see how things shake out until she slaps you in the face with divorce papers. Hopefully this episode will be your wake-up call that you need to start doing something about it to turn things around. Okay? Before we get into it, guys, I really appreciate you guys joining me on Christmas morning. I know you guys could be watching like the Macy's Day Parade or the Grinch or whatever, but you guys are here with me and I appreciate it. And I feel really blessed to have you guys here, and I'm really grateful to have a dedicated audience. If you guys are watching on Facebook or X, come on over to YouTube. It's a much better viewing experience over on YouTube. But guys, do be sure to, what we got here? Like, subscribe, hit those notifications. I have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday without fail. Now, sometimes on holidays like this, I don't go live. I pre-record it, but I figured let's go live this morning. Why not? There are 16 people watching live right now. So if you guys are one of those 16 people, don't just be lurking in the comments, sound off. Let's hear from you. We do have a live chat on all three platforms that we're streaming to. But come on over to YouTube, because if you do, you can support the channel by sending a super chat. All right. And I know you guys have the money. Well, maybe you don't. It is Christmas. Maybe you guys spend all your money on Christmas presents for other people. That's fine. I get it. But if you guys send a $10 super chat, you get the bouncing tatas video. And if you guys send a $20 super chat, you guys get the bouncing blubs video. And it's a newer bouncing. Oh, no. Let's see. That's the same one. You get the shaky booty video if you send a $20 super chat. All right. So the first opportunity cost you probably didn't think of is time off of work. You've got to take time off of work to go to court cases, right? You got to go down and see the judge. You have to go see mediators. Sometimes you have to take time off because you have to go see a therapist, and they only have, time during the workday. So you got to take time off to go see therapy. To see a therapist. So attending court hearings, mediation settings, or therapy could require taking several days off work, leading to missed income. Okay. But Paul, I get PTO, right? I get paid time off. Well, that could also create career setbacks if you have to take a lot of time off. I'll tell you what, as someone that manages people, I'm always looking at the guys that take a lot of time off. You know what I mean? Like they're just constantly last minute dropping PTO in your lap, and you're like, are you for real? Like you're giving me a like a 2-day notice so that you could, because all of a sudden you have this impromptu trip. Like, what? Like, no. And so when like the chopping block comes, right? Like when it's layoff season and they say, okay, we need to look at who's expendable in the team. If the first people that go are typically the people that take the most PTO, right? Like they're just constantly taking time off. You know what I mean? Like taking time off is fine, but if you take time off constantly, like people, your employers don't like that so much. But if you spread it out a little bit throughout the year and it's not so impactful to the whole team, like they're a little more okay with it. But anyway, the estimated opportunity cost there is about $1,000 to $5,000 in lost income. That's if you don't get paid when you have to take time off to go see attorneys and judges and mediators and stuff like that. And then also it costs you a lot more if you lose your job because you're constantly have to take time off. We have missed promotions or career advancement. So this sort of goes hand in hand. The stress and distraction of a divorce can lead to missed promotions or reduced focus on professional growth, potentially costing tens of thousands of dollars over time. So the estimated opportunity cost here is about between $10,000 and $50,000 in lost future earnings. I'll tell you one thing. When I was going through right after my divorce, right, and I was paying alimony, I had to pay alimony for 5 years. And during that 5-year period, I basically forked over about $100,000 worth of alimony. I talked about that last week. But also during that time, because my wife at any given moment could request a salary evaluation and take me back to court and ask for more money, that whole time that I was paying her alimony, anytime my bosses were, thinking about giving me a raise or anything like that, I would decline the raise. And I was like, I don't want to take a raise right now, because if I do, I'm gonna have to just hand that money over to my wife. So I said, hey, if you're planning on allocating funds for a raise for me, I'd much rather redistribute that to my team members and give them a little bit of a bump. But I did that. I had to do that for 5 years just so I didn't have to pay my ex more, because I knew she was going to come after me for that kind of money. What are guys saying in the chat here? We've got Nurse Chicks in the house. She says, Merry Christmas. Yes, indeed. Merry Christmas to you, Nurse Chick.
So naughty.
We were naughty last night. You know what I'm talking about? And then I definitely did. Paul, that's terrible. This is Christmas. This is the birthday of Jesus. Okay. Ray Leyland says, Merry Christmas to all. Yes. And then Phil Bradley says, Skull, you savage. Mike Steele says, Merry Christmas. And he also sent a $10 super chat. Merry Christmas, Paul. You're a great friend and a badass Drakkar. May the new year bring great prosperity to you and yours. Yes. Thank you so much, Mike. And Mike he's not just a beer club brother. He's also a Drakkar. He's also a fellow Dragon Ship member. So I'm going to bump him up to the $20 super chat video. Super chat, we see you there. Shake it, dance without a care. Send it love from everywhere. Groovy beats we all can share. Your support is so divine. Moving closer to the line. Thank you, you're the best. Party on, we never rest. All right. Oh, bless her heart, guys. Bless her heart. She's just out there, just trying to make a living. She's just trying to make a living with that ass. Okay, guys, follow me on social media. The links are in the description. Get on the email list.comeonmanpod.com. Get my ebook, She's Made You Weak. This is the Ryan Stone. I'm re-listening to Dread on audio, and he talks about this as the roadmap of relationships, right? He basically describes the betatization process as the roadmap for relationships. And one of the things that he points out in Dread is that when you understand this process, and this is the exact same process he's talking about, right? And we both got this from Practical Female Psychology. But it's a 5-step process that women do that causes attraction to erode over time. They don't even realize they're doing it. Well, one of the things that Ryan points out in Dread is that once you understand where you are in this process, I sort of get an understanding of where your woman's at mentally from a subconscious level, from her evolutionary wiring, right? And he goes, you can go back to any place in the previous steps, at any given time, but you just have to understand where you're at now to know what you need to do to move the needle backwards, to the beginning of the relationship when things were good, right? Back when she's just testing you, right? So if you want to understand that process, and you don't have to read a whole book like Dread, although I do recommend you read that book. Get this ebook. It's free. It's like 11 pages. It'll give you a really good understanding of what's happening in your relationship and how you can sort of defend against the dark arts. And then, guys, today's Christmas, but next week is New Year's Eve, and a lot of you guys are probably making resolutions to lose some weight, right? You guys are probably wanting to lose some weight. Did you know that I have a basic diet and fitness mini course? If you go to fit.comeonmanpod.com, that is a great place to start, especially if you are, really overweight right now and you've never really worked out in your life, but you know that you need to take your health back, and 2025 is the year you want to do it. This is the perfect course to get you started. Okay. It's very affordable. Let me play a commercial for that, and then we'll get back to the topic.
Tired of complicated diets and time-consuming workouts? Does your busy schedule leave no room for the gym? You're not alone. Thousands of men struggle with the same problem. The frustration of not seeing results can be overwhelming. But what if I told you there's an easier way? Introducing the Basic Diet and Fitness Mini Course, your no-nonsense guide to getting fit. Learn the only 4 exercises you need and master the secret of effortless weight loss with the calories in, calories out method. It's time to break free from the cycle of failure. Start your journey to a healthier, stronger you today. Sign up for the Basic Diet and Fitness Mini Course now, because every man deserves to feel confident and fit. Transform your life, one simple step at a time.
Visit fit.comeonmanpod.com and sign up today. No more excuses. No more excuses. Holy shit, guys, look at this. Hey, what's up, John? Merry Christmas to you too, brother. Thanks for stopping by. I only know that's him because he sent me a whole bunch of Suspension Max gear. Dude, I've been jogging in your hoodie that you sent me. I jog in it like almost every day. Oh, John Egan sent a $5 super chat. God bless. Here we go. I'm saying God bless. I need to replace the batteries in my mouse here, and it takes like 5 clicks to click on anything right now. Anyway, send a $5 super chat. He says, "Bah humbug." He's a beer club brother, and so I'm going to give him this to cheer him up.
Thank you for the super chats. Movies bouncing, can't stop that. From the east to the west, you are the best. Keep those chats coming in, let's do it all again.
Everybody loves a great pair of cans, man. All right. Okay, the next opportunity cost is lost investment opportunities. So the division of assets might force you to liquidate investments prematurely, causing you to miss out on long-term market growth or real estate appreciation. So the opportunity cost here is $20,000 to $100,000 plus in potential gains. Think about that for a minute, right? A lot of you guys don't realize this, but if you've been building up your 401k nest egg for 20 years and you got a pretty good chunk of money in there, she's entitled to half, even if, she's been a stay-at-home mom this whole time and she has contributed nothing, monetarily to that fund. She's entitled to half of it, right? If you own a house together, the judge could potentially say that you guys have to sell the house and split the funds with that. Right. And if you're at the top of the market, like right now, we're basically at the top of the housing market right now. It might be a good thing. Right. It's like, okay, fine. Even splitting half the profit will still be a pretty decent, chunk of money. That's fine. But what if you're like at the bottom of the housing market? What if it was like 2008 and it's like just the housing market's in the toilet. You're upside down in this house, and like now you have to split it and take a loss. Like that's just terrible. You can't. Like typically what happens, right? If the market corrects, if you guys didn't know this, I'm really into investments. If you guys want to know more about investing, get my first book, Everything I Wish I Knew When I Was 18. I have a whole chapter on anybody could be rich, and it's all about being smart with your money and learning how to invest. But here's the thing about a market correction, right? A lot of times people cry about Bitcoin because Bitcoin's so volatile, and it'll drop like 20%, when the market corrects. And so what tends to happen with Bitcoin is people start investing when everyone's talking about it. Like right now, when Bitcoin got up to 108,000. So everyone's like rushing to put their money in. Well, when everyone's talking about it, it's the top of the market, right? And so when the market does correct, and it's going to correct because it always does, what people tend to do, their knee-jerk reaction is to pull their money out, right? They lock in those losses. Well, what you really would like to do is if the market corrects and everything drops, is to just hold, right? Just stay there. And that would be a good time to start, putting more money in, because now you're at a, lower place of the market. Now you're buying low, right? Buy low, sell high. But if let's say you own a house or even Bitcoin, for instance, right? If you own Bitcoin, the judge orders you to like give her half, and you're at the bottom of the market, like you're locked in with those losses, because now you have to get rid of all the stuff at the lower price level. It's like, I don't know. It's not cool. We have psychological stress leading to reduced productivity. Think about this one for a minute. Okay. So we're probably going to talk about the emotional stuff next week, but the psychological stress leading to reduced productivity. So the mental toll of divorce can reduce focus and performance at work, potentially leading to lower bonuses, raises, or even job loss. How many people have gotten to a place at work where they're so depressed because of the divorce situation that it's allowed them to impact their work performance, and they can't focus at work, and now they're getting counseled by their bosses, right? They're like, hey man, you need to snap out of this. Like, we need you here at the office, and you're mentally not here, but guys can't snap out of that. And so what happens, right? They don't get bonuses because they get poor reviews. They don't get raises, or they might even lose their job because their boss is like, look, man, I need someone that's reliable. I'm afraid we're gonna have to let you go, right? Well, your opportunity cost there is, depending on, like, if you lose the job, that could be way more than this, right? But the estimated cost here is $5,000 to $20,000 in reduced earnings, right? But if you lose your job completely, like, what if you have a 6-figure job? That's a 6-figure loss, right? Until you get another job. All right. We're going to be going through these pretty quick today. It's going to be a short episode because I got a lot of stuff to do, and I got to go grab my kids and go over to see the folks, right? But guys, really what I'm trying to do here is, a lot of MGTOW guys are going to see it at this episode, and they're going to be like, this is why you don't get married, right? Guys, getting married is foolish. It's a terrible idea. This is what I get in the comments whenever I post clips from these types of episodes. Just guys that have been burned in divorce. And so they know, right? They know how crappy it is. And so they're out there just like banging the drums, like, don't get married, all right? Don't get married. So they take this information as a reason why not to get married. And I agree with them. There's no reason to get Uncle Sam involved in your relationship. There's none. There's like only loss with all this stuff if things go south. But there's so many people that didn't get the memo, right? There's so many people that weren't told that marriage is a bad deal for men. So they're all running for that white picket fence, usually in their 20s. That was me. No one told me that marriage was a bad deal for men. And, my parents are still together. I never had to deal with seeing my dad go through a divorce. I didn't realize it until after the fact that my dad's pretty miserable in his marriage, but he does that to himself. That's for another episode. But the thing is that a lot of guys didn't get the memo, right? So there's guys that are married now and they could change the dynamic of the relationship instead of getting to this point. But they don't. They tend to overlook all the signs. They tend to, ignore all the red flags that are happening all around them, and they think this is normal because they were probably raised in a less than ideal household when they were growing up, right? Like we tend to learn relationship dynamics from our parents because that's the only model that we see on a daily basis. And so you think this sort of thing is normal. You think it's normal to be miserable. You think it's normal to, have the sex dry up after your wife has kids, and now everything, sort of goes downhill after that. And that's just how life is. It doesn't have to be that way. Okay. There are things that you could do right now to change that dynamic for the better and have a healthy relationship. Okay. There are things that you could do as a man, as the leader of the household, to start changing that dynamic and fixing some of this stuff, so you don't have to deal with this. Okay. Now, if you've already dealt with this, yeah, I agree. Don't get married again. It's pointless because usually, there's a 50% divorce rate for first-time marriages. And it only goes up. The percentage of divorces goes up for second and third time marriages. So it's like, it's pointless. But you want to know why that goes up? It's because you never learned the relationship skills, right? It takes skills to manage a relationship properly. It's a skill issue. And you never learn those skills. You just go, I'll just replace her. Well, you end up marrying the same woman with a different face in your next relationship. And then things usually go downhill much quicker the second time around. Okay. So at some point, you've got to learn the skills if you want to have a long-term healthy relationship someday. And I would venture to say most guys do. Okay. Whether they get the government involved or not, that's irrelevant. But right now, when you have the government involved, there's some stuff that you're going to have to deal with. Okay. If you don't know how to start turning that dynamic around, I offer coaching. Okay. And so let's talk about your specific situation. Go to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com right now. If you're a married man, you've been married for 7+ years, and you're starting to notice that your wife is slipping away, right? Your wife is starting to put distance between the two of you, and you don't understand what's going on. The sex is really infrequent, if at all. And you know that it doesn't need to be this way. You don't want to get divorced because you really love her. We can turn this around. Okay. Go to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com and find a time on my calendar that works for you. And let's talk about your specific situation. It's just a free call. Okay. It's a free 30-minute call. So do that. Go to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com and let me help you out. Okay. Let's avoid some of this stuff. All right. The next one is financial strain leading to debt. Okay. So paying legal fees, alimony, and child support could cause significant debt accumulation, leading to long-term interest payments and financial stress. So obviously the cost of buying all the stuff we talked about last week, like the cost of refurnishing your place, that was a cost that I didn't really think about when I got divorced. And, I basically let my ex-wife take all of our old furniture, mainly because I didn't really like that stuff. Right. But then when I moved into my place, and at that time I was renting 2 houses, right? I was renting a house for her and then renting a house for myself. I had to furnish my whole house from scratch. And so I ended up running up like $20,000 in credit card debt. Right. So the cost by itself was like 20 grand plus all the interest I had to pay on top of that. And it took me several years to get out of debt. I did get out of debt. I followed the method that I lay out in Everything I Wish I Knew when I was 18. And I did get out of debt. And now I have a pretty sizable, emergency fund and like all the stuff I talk about in the book. But man, it took a while. It took a while to get out from under all of that stuff. And that's an opportunity cost that you probably didn't think about. Right? All the interest payments you're going to have to pay and all the debt you're going to accrue because most people don't have this kind of money laying around. Right. But divorces cost like up to, hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years. So what do people do with that? If they don't have a big nest egg savings, emergency fund, they put it on a credit card. Right. Loss of retirement savings. So we already talked about that a little bit, right? But splitting retirement accounts in a divorce could set your retirement by years, leading to a lower quality of life in the later years, right? So opportunity cost, man, it says here $50,000 to $200,000 in lost retirement savings. Man, yeah, think about that. Like if you've been smart, right? One of the things I talk about, I really want you guys to get this book for like your teenagers, right? Their teenage sons. Because if they start doing the investment stuff I talk about at 18, by the time they're my age, they're going to have a huge fucking nest egg. Okay. But imagine if they did that, right? If they started when they were 18 and now they're like 40, I'm 45. So let's say they're my age, 45. And now they have to split half of that nest egg up with their spouse, and they're going through a nasty divorce. And let's say they have $500,000 in there. Now it's cut in half. Now they only have $250,000 in there, and they're 45. Like, man, you only have like 20 more years until retirement, and to try to rebuild that back up. Now you're behind the 8 ball. Like that fucking sucks, right? You don't want to have to deal with that. You have the psychological toll affecting your health, right? This is one of the reasons why I really want guys to get into my beer club. Right? Get in a beer club, practice gratitude practice. Gratitude practice is really good for your mental health. But a lot of guys, a big problem with like going through the pain of divorce is they fall into depression. They fall into depression. That depression impacts you physiologically. Like you sort of start building up all this tension in your body. Your body's not at ease. That's what causes dis-ease, right? The word dis-ease is a body that is at dis-ease, right? It's a body that's not at ease. So the stress and emotional trauma of divorce can contribute to health problems, leading to increased medical costs and reduced lifespan opportunity. Man, think about this too. Like when people are under a lot of stress, especially if they're overweight and stuff like that, man, they have the increased, they're at increased risk of heart attack. You know what I mean? It's like, can you imagine having a heart attack because you're so depressed or you have a lot of anxiety or whatever? Like you have some kind of mental issue that's causing you to physiologically have more problems, and you end up dying of it because like you basically die of heartbreak, right? Terrible. But anyway, the opportunity cost there is estimated $10,000 to $50,000 in healthcare costs. We have diminished parenting time. So time spent in court or dealing with the emotional fallout of divorce could take away from time spent with children, potentially damaging long-term relationships. So the opportunity cost there is irreplaceable personal connections and life experiences with your children. I have a friend who his wife did this to him. And this happens. This is so common, right? Where wives will alienate their kids from the father, right? You often hear the story that there's all these deadbeat dads out there. It's not that there's all these deadbeat dads. I mean, yeah, there are some deadbeat dads, but a lot of it is because the wife has some kind of bone to grind with the husband, and she doesn't want her kids to associate with the husband. So she, makes up all these accusations. He's abusive. He does whatever. And the courts just go, okay, yeah, we're going to give you sole custody, to the mom. And so the mom keeps these kids from their father. Right. And then like these kids grow to resent their dad because their mom tells them all these stories about how he's such a bad guy. And that really hurts your relationship with your children later on in life. Right. I mean, sometimes that can be rebuilt, but sometimes like it never gets rebuilt. These kids are like, when they're young and impressionable, that's really, they're having their paradigm programmed at that point in life. And they're being programmed with this vision and story that you're somehow this evil bad guy. I dated a girl in high school who that's what happened. Her mom basically kept her dad from seeing her, basically her whole life, and told her how what a nasty man her dad was and all this stuff. And so she had this really, bad idea of the kind of man her dad was. And while we were dating, like her dad somehow tracked her down and was able to reach out to her. And he was like, can we meet? Like, I'd love to come in. I'd love to talk to you and, maybe have some coffee or something. Right. And so she asked me to go with her because she had this sort of story built up in her head about what kind of man her dad was. So I went with her as a teenage boy, met her dad, and her dad was like the nicest man you'll ever meet in your life. And he was such a gracious host when we went over to his house. And he was just so happy that his daughter went and saw him. And she was like, after we left, she was like, that was not how I expected that to go. I was expecting him to be this sort of, alcoholic, piece of crap guy. And he totally wasn't. He totally wasn't. He lived in a really nice house. And, he had I can't remember. I think he worked in construction or something like that, but he made pretty good money. And, he seemed like he had his life together. It wasn't anything that she had built up in her mind, but her mom said all these lies about him because she just didn't like him. Right. And that's what it ends up being in this emotional sort of thing that a lot of women tend to do. And it's toxic as hell. Right. Well, can you imagine if your wife did that to you and alienated your kids from you? That would be awful. It'd be awful, man. You can't put a price tag on something like that. Can't put a price tag on something like just being able to spend time with your kids. And then you realize, like, you don't really realize it until it's gone, how painful that is. When my wife left, I've told this story on the podcast before. When she first left and filed for divorce, she took the kids and ran to Denver. Right. I live in Colorado, but Denver, everyone thinks when they think of Colorado, they think of Denver, right? Or they think of skiing, but Denver's 5 hours from me. Like, Colorado's a pretty big state. And so she ran to Denver and then called me from Denver and said, I got the kids. I'm not coming back. Right. And I was like, what? Like, all of a sudden it just like hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, holy crap, I might never see my kids again. Like, she's going to take the kids and run, like that's the existential fear all of a sudden I had in my mind when she did that. And in order to get her to come back and bring the kids back, I had to fork over tons of money to rent her a house in town and stuff like that. It was an awful time. It was an awful time. And the reason why she said she did that was because, like, we used to live in California and there was all these, Amber alerts and stories on the news of parents going through custody battles where one parent stole the kids and like try to take off and go across state lines and whatever. And so she was afraid that when she told me that, we were getting divorced, that I would do that to her, which I would never do. That's awful. Right. And so in her woman brain, she tried to solve the problem by preemptively doing it to me. I was like, what? Like, that's just craziness, but that's just women's emotional thinking, right? It has no basis in reality. But can you imagine that happening to you? It was awful for me anyway, but can you imagine have to deal with crap like that? A lot of guys are like, well, my wife would never do that. I never thought my wife would do something stupid like that either. But you never truly know your wife until, like, you're going through the divorce process and this kind of shit happens, right? And she starts getting, talking to attorneys, and the attorneys are telling her what kind of goodies that she's going to win and cash and prizes with this. Like, you never know, like, the type of woman that you're really dealing with until this type of stuff happens. All right. The next one here is loss of social business connections. Before I get into that one, we have a couple of other super chats. Brother Ed with a $5 super chat. He says, Beery Clubmas, Beery Clubmas to all. He is a beer club brother, so he gets the $10 super chat video.
Thank you for the super chats. Boobies bouncing, can't stop that. From the east to the west, you are the best. Keep those chats coming in, let's do it all again.
Indeed. Let's do it all again. Hey, Donald says Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Donald. And then Brother John from Suspension Max. Guys, if you guys have a little dick issue, what I recommend, and you live in Michigan, go get yourself a big truck. Okay, get yourself a big truck and then take it on over to Suspension Max, and they'll put a lift kit on that son of a bitch, and then you can really compensate like a man. Okay. He sent a $20 super chat. Merry Christmas, Beer Club brothers. Keep up the amazing work, gentlemen. Yes, thank you so much, man. And I'm going to give him the $20 super chat video.
Super chat, we see you there. Shake it, dance without a care. Sending love from everywhere. Groovy beats we all can share. Your support is so divine. Moving closer to the line. Thank you, you're the best. Party on, we never rest.
Thanks for that. Wayne Smith, women do women shit. Go figure. I never would have thunk it would have happened to me. Yeah, most guys don't. Most guys have no fucking clue the epic shitstorm that's coming their way. And I said this in a video clip, I think on it was from Monday's episode, but I said it on Monday's episode and also went out as a clip. But most guys just, they're just like, they're content with where things are. They're like, yeah, sex is sort of dried up a little bit, but this is just normal, right? Like the wife tells me that the loss of sex and attraction and relationships normal. And this is just how things go. And so they sort of think that everything's fine, right? They sort of are just floating through and, she's a nagging little bitch every now and then, but that's normal, right? And then all of a sudden she drops the divorce papers in your lap and goes after half your 401k and then like wants the max amount of alimony and tries to convince the court that she can only make minimum wage to, so that she gets the maximum amount of alimony, like all this kind of stuff that guys are like, what is going on? I thought we were good, and they are absolutely blindsided by that because they aren't looking at the warning signs. And there's warning signs all around you that she's not happy. And one of the biggest warning signs is that she's a nagging bitch all the time, right? Beware the bitching woman. That's a major warning sign that something needs to change. The dynamics off in the relationship. One of the biggest fucking things. All right. So we have we talked about diminished parenting time. We have loss of social and business connections. Divorce can lead to the loss of shared social circles and professional networks, which can impact business opportunities or career growth. So the opportunity cost there is estimated at $10,000 to $50,000 plus in lost opportunities. There's, I know guys in the space who, after being red pilled, they will look at a man's like marriage dynamic, right? And if the man has a bad marriage dynamic, or if he's going through like a nasty divorce, like they don't want to do business with that guy, like there's all these business opportunities you don't even know you're missing, but because you don't have like good relationship skills and you don't know how to manage that stuff, or you're just, you're a terrible picker and you have like just the most toxic fucking wife ever, right? Like certain guys don't want to do business with you. But if you're going through a nasty divorce, a lot of times too, guys realize that you're not in the right mental headspace, so, and they also know that, if they get into business with you, that their wife might go after half the business and shit. Right. So there's a lot of reasons why guys don't want to go into business with guys that are in like failing marriages or, toxic relationships, or they're already going through the divorce process. Right. There's lots of reasons. And then we've got the last reason here on the list is reduced focus on self-improvement. Now, I'll tell you what, your reduced focus on self-improvement probably is one of the reasons why you're in the position you're in the first place, right? It's weird, but if guys work on themselves, if they put investment into themselves and are constantly working on improving themselves, like they tend to not even have to deal with any of this stuff, right? Because what women tend to like to be around guys that are always trying to level up. They're never content where they're at. But most guys fall into complacency, think they've reached the finish line, and stop doing the shit that made them attractive in the beginning. So now what happens? Well, now that you're going through the divorce process, the mental and emotional strain of a divorce may derail personal development goals such as education, fitness, or hobbies, delaying self-improvement efforts. But I think that's just a cope. You know what I mean? Like you were probably already delaying that kind of shit anyway. And you had some other bullshit excuse then too. A lot of the reasons why most of you guys aren't really focused on self-improvement is because you make fucking excuses. You don't have the discipline to do it. You know, you're waiting to be motivated to do it. Well, motivation comes and goes. You know, the Jocko Willink says this. Yeah, motivation is an emotion. It's fleeting. You know, you're not always going to be motivated to go to the gym. You're not always motivated to listen to the audiobook you need to listen to. Right. So at some point you need to just say, I'm fucking doing this, whether I feel like it or not, you know? And so, but that's probably one of the reasons why you're here. That's probably one of the reasons why you're heading for a divorce, is because you're the guy that makes up all the fucking excuses all the time. I had a breakthrough call the other day with a guy, and he's going to go through a divorce here. And he was a stay-at-home dad, hasn't worked in years, and his wife is actually offering him a pretty decent payout. So I was like, just take it, dude. Just take it. But one of the things that he was saying was that he's been, you know, he's read Ryan's Frame book, and he's read Ryan's Dread book, and I think he's even said he's read Athol K and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, so why haven't you been able to move the needle like in the last couple of years? And he's like, well, you know, I was losing weight, and you know, but I got derailed because of da. Like, no, like a guy who's disciplined with his workout doesn't get derailed with his workout plans. Like, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. You either do it or you fucking don't do it, right? So anything else is an excuse. And now he's going for a divorce. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, if you would have like applied the map, right? Athol K calls it the map, the male action plan. If you would have applied the map and stuck to it and got disciplined with it, like, you wouldn't be here right now. You know what I mean? You wouldn't be on this call with me right now. If you read Dread and you applied all the concepts of Dread, like the scoreboard and all this stuff, it's just another imagining of the map, really, you know? But if you applied the stuff that Ryan talks about in Dread, you wouldn't be here right now. But you lack the discipline to do it. You know what I mean? And then you make up excuses. But that's where you're at, right? So you've got another excuse. You know, you got mental and emotional strain of a divorce, and so that derails personal development goals. Opportunity cost $5,000 to $20,000 in lost personal growth and opportunities. You know what, though? Here's the thing. When you do go through a divorce, what do most people do once they get out of this funk and they start going out on the dating circuit, and they're not getting any dates, and they're complaining about these modern women and all women suck, and like dating apps don't work and all this kind of stuff? What do they end up doing? One, they either quit, all right, and go MGTOW, and the juice isn't worth the squeeze, or they start hitting the gym and start making themselves attractive again. They start realizing, oh shit, if I'm gonna get a better quality woman, I better start working on myself, right? And so they start improving themselves. That's what I see a lot of guys, the original 3% man group that came out of. That's what they were doing, right? They were hitting the gym. They're trying to get back in shape, trying to become more attractive so that they could land better quality women. Well, if you're in a relationship, like, why do you let yourself go? Right? There's no finish line, but a lot of guys think that they've hit a finish line once they get into a relationship. It's like, why don't you just do that while you're in this relationship now? All right. Fix the dynamic now by doing the same shit you would do when you're on the dating circuit to try to attract a new woman, right? It's literally the same process. You might as well start doing it now. Oh, but she might leave. It's just, you know, it's not worth it. Yeah, she might leave, but guess what? Now, when you're out on the dating circuit again, now you've already done all that stuff. And now it's a habit. Now you just keep doing that stuff, and you're going to have a much better time on the dating circuit if you start doing that stuff now, you know? So if you start doing that stuff now while your relationship's sort of going downhill, you have two possible outcomes, right? Your wife either starts coming on board and realizing, oh shit, he's making himself attractive again. I might as well start making myself more attractive, and hey, we're all happy again. Or, right, you realize that you got a shitty wife that won't step up to your level, and now you're at a higher sexual market value than her, and you're like, you know what? She's dead weight. Let me cut her loose. Now you can make that decision from a position of offense instead of defense. Most guys are fighting an uphill battle because their wife slaps them with divorce papers, and now they're on the defense, right? Well, now you can do this from a position of offense. You can actually make an exit plan. You can go proactively go talk to an attorney, say, hey, this is what I want out of this divorce. How do I get there? Right? Your attorney might bring you back closer to reality based on the laws, but still, if you give them a ballpark of where you want to be, they can actually come up with a strategy to get you there. You understand? But most guys don't do that. They're playing defense. So, but if you start working out this stuff now, like you have more control over your over whatever life. You start making life happen instead of waiting for life to happen to you. You understand? That's why I say start now, no matter what's going on in your relationship. If you whether you think you can salvage it or not, start now. Okay. Ryan and Dredd talks about how she's the perfect sparring partner, right? If you could run game on your wife, you could run game on anybody because she's seen all your bullshit. You know what I mean? All right. That's all I got, guys. We're going to sort of wrap it up here. We're going to keep it relatively short today. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Man, we have 53 viewers on Christmas. Man, that's a good turnout. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. I really hope you guys have a Merry Christmas. Do like, subscribe, hit those notifications. I have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Oh, by the way, tune in on Friday. We are going to be going over chapter 2 in AJ's book, Psychology, Emotion. Okay. And then that chapter is all on the impact of suppressing your emotions. A lot of guys out there are like, they think they're lone wolves and that they just have to bottle everything up. That's not good for your mental health, brother. All right. But your wife or your girlfriend's not the outlet for it either. So we'll talk about that on Friday. Thanks for everyone that sounded off in the chat. I appreciate you. Thanks for all the super chats. I'm going to put that in my my Christmas fund. And that'll help pay the bills for this show. Guys, follow me on social media. The links are in the description. Get on the email list and get the ebook. She's Made You Weak. It talks about the betatization process and what you can start doing to change that dynamic in your relationship right now. Guys, New Year's coming up. Time to get fit. Go to fit.comeonmanpod.com and take my basic diet and fitness mini course. It's only $25. It's the most simple and effective diet strategy that you'll ever find. And you can see I used to be a fat bastard and now I'm a fit bastard. And, I know what I'm talking about. And let's see here, guys. If you want to avoid all these opportunity costs, book a call with me. Okay. Go to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com. That's all we got. Oh, hey, Alex Petino. Merry Christmas, brother. Thanks for dropping by. I appreciate you, man. All right. That's all we got, guys. Merry Christmas. We will see you on Friday.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. Now, go out and get it.